Well, welcome back to a special Memorial Day edition of Spicer & Company. Our next two guests have answered the call to serve our country as Navy SEALs. And now they are both committed to serving the American people in a different way by re-entering the political realm as public servants. Let's bring in former Missouri governor and current Missouri Senate candidate Eric Greitens, along with former congressman, former Secretary of the Interior under President Trump, and now current Montana congressional candidate again, Ryan Zinke. Gentlemen, thanks for being here. Before we begin, I want to just say that the photos that our guests will see of the two of you in uniform do not constitute an endorsement from either the Department of Defense nor the Department of the Navy. Now that we've gotten that disclaimer out, happy Memorial Day to you both.
Great to be with you,
Happy
Sean.
Memorial Day, Sean, Lindsay. Great to be with you guys.
Good to see you both again. Both of you served in uniform as Navy SEALs, and frankly, I would guess that most of you have seen many shipmates that have paid the ultimate price. You've also both been elected before to different offices. I want to ask you why. Why do you both want to return to public service? But more importantly, what skill sets does a SEAL specifically bring to an elective office like a legislative body where you got to work with others? Governor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, first, Sean, in the SEAL teams, it is all about teamwork. As you mentioned, as I'm sure Ryan will share as well, on this day, on Memorial Day, we remember those teammates who made the ultimate sacrifice. And again, I think for both of us, when you think about those teammates, you think about what they sacrificed for the country. It's a reminder for all of us that we have to find ways to continue to serve. They made sacrifices for our freedom. They made sacrifices so that we could live secure lives. And we have to find ways to continue to move forward. Every SEAL mission is a mission that is focused on purpose. It is focused on service. It is focused on teamwork. And that's what I know Ryan and I are both committed to do in office as well.
Now, Mr. Secretary, you served in Congress before. Did you find the skill sets that you learned as a SEAL helpful when you tried to get things done in Congress?
Well, this is where I think we are on our country first. Our country's in peril. And I don't think it's China. I don't think it's Russia. I don't think it's Iran that's the biggest threat. I think the biggest threat facing our country is the division within. The divide is so deep, there's almost two sets of truths. And what the military and SEALs bring to the table is, look, I never asked a person whether the person next to me was a Democrat or Republican. Right. What was important is, do you love your country? Are you mission focused? Do you want to be the best person you can? And those are the qualities that bring leadership on the stage. Today, you see the divisions. I think it's problematic. We have to get the majority back. And I think the framework has to be the Constitution, where those of us in uniform have sworn to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we have to learn to work together within the framework of the Constitution. D.C. is a mess. I think everyone looks at it. People call it a swamp. That does injustice to a swamp. I would call it a cesspool. At least a swamp, there's wonderful amphibians and reptiles, and we have some great swamps. The cesspool, it is what it is.
Governor, if you look at where we're at right now as a society, it's become kind of trendy on the left to kneel during the anthem. More and people are catching on to this. Some Americans may not fully understand the sacrifice our military and law enforcement officers make. How do you think that we instill back that pride in our country?
Yeah, it's such a
Governor.
great question, Lindsay. It's such an important question, Lindsay. One of the things that Pericles talked about in his famous funeral oration is he said that we remember those who've made the ultimate sacrifice not by what's engraved in stone monuments, but by what they've woven into our hearts, by what we do. And all of us have the opportunity every day to honor the men and women who have made the ultimate sacrifice by expressing our patriotism. And of course, people should be standing for the national anthem. People should be honoring the flag. But more than that, people need to get involved in their communities, get engaged in ways that are going to help us to revive our republic. I know it's one of the reasons why Ryan and I are both running this cycle, is that we believe as warriors that there is, as a country is at stake, and we've got to find ways to continue to revive that republic. And it starts with patriotism and recognizing that the Constitution is our foundation.
You know, Mr. Secretary, I think for a long time, when I thought of the Navy SEALs, I would think of it almost like a silent service, right? You went, you did your mission, and because you wanted to serve the nation. People didn't talk about what they did openly. Now we're seeing SEALs write books, talk about their service, talk about what happened, and running for office. What was that shift? When would it occur, and why, do you think?
It's a long story. You know, our special forces brothers have been the quiet warriors. I think SEALs have struggled being quiet. As you point out, we have books and movies and continuing. The right tool for the right purpose. I think what we're seeing now is a number of SEALs stepping forward in the political light. As you know, politics, it's a rough sport. I think, quite frankly, it was easier being a SEAL commander at SEAL Team 6 than it was as a secretary. Because at least when you're in the SEALs, most of the rounds come from the front. As secretary, I got used to a lot of the rounds coming from the rear. But I think what we bring to the table really is patriotism, a love for the country. If you remember the words of Teddy Roosevelt, is that there's no 50-50 when it comes to being an American. Either you are or you're not. And we as a nation have to come together around the Constitution and realize that we must work together. We must work for purpose, and we must show that democracy, the republic, and the things that we have brought the world as a nation, that is the path forward. Self-determination, hard work, those elements and values that have made the SEALs and our brothers and sisters in the veteran community, this is what we bring to the table. And I think it's an important moment on Memorial Day to look at the past, look at the present, and look at the future about what has made this country great.
I couldn't agree more. Governor, I want to, before we go, I got to ask you, Secretary mentioned the swamp, and I think rightly so called it a cesspool. We generally associate that with Washington, but I got to tell you, I saw something in your state capitol about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, where the folks in your party in Missouri were trying to rig the rules to make sure that you couldn't win, the guy who has all of this grassroots support. I mean, talk about the swamp. I think it may have shifted west.
Yeah, look, it's very clear that there's a cesspool in Washington, D.C., there's a cesspool in Missouri, and it's full of establishment. It's full of the swamp creatures. It is full of the left. And they are desperate to attack me because I'm the MAGA candidate in this race. I'm the Navy SEAL, the conservative, the outsider who's always fought for the people of Missouri. And they're desperate to take me out. But just to build on what Ryan was saying, I think on a day like Memorial Day, we can all look back with pride at the sacrifice that others have made. We can look forward with confidence, and we know that in every generation has had to fight for freedom. Every generation has had to take on evil forces. Every generation has had to fight the equivalent of the swamp and of the crazy left. We're going to do that in this generation. We're going to win, and we're going to revive our republic.
That's right. Well, I want to thank you both for being here, but more importantly, I want to thank you for your service to our nation and wish you a very happy Memorial Day.
And Sean, happy
Thanks
Memorial
so much,
Day.
Sean.
And tell you what, you look good. You look good out of D.C.
Thank you. We have to be here. Anyway, I appreciate it.